Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon and welcome to Xandermonium with me, Xander Gibb, for a very special episode today. More about that in a moment. Just a few apologies for the audio last week. Fingers crossed that there'll be some improvement today, or I'm definitely going to be moving to a new network. So let me tell you a little bit about our guest today, who I think has just called in and is on hold. My guest today is Jiffy Wild, who is one of the stars of the Chelsea Lately Show and After Lately, and he's married to the lovely Allie for 7 years and counting, and his antics on Lately and After Lately have gained him a lot of attention, especially from the members of the gay scene. Today, myself and my co-host, who I will tell you about in a second, are going to probe him about life, comedy, writing, his gay following, the universe, and everything else in between. All right, let's see if my co-host is there. Are you there, Brody Stuart?
Yes, I'm here. How are you doing, Xander?
I'm very good. How are you?
I'm great. I can't wait to speak with Jiffy.
Absolutely. Let's see if he is there. Hello.
Hello.
Jiffy. Hi, Jiffy. Welcome. How are you?
Xander and Brody, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Very good. Very good. It's really good to have you. So what's the weather like there in sunny California?
I am sitting in my backyard, and it's about 75 and beautiful. I'm sitting here with my 2-year-old who's playing Angry Birds.
Hey, Ben.
Everybody says, hey, Ben. He's into Angry Birds right now.
Just like his dad.
If I can ever get it away from him, I try to play.
Absolutely. So it's like 40 degrees in New York City here now, so I'm very envious of
so
you.
You're in New York, and where's
I'm in New York, and Brody
I'm
is
in New
Canada.
Brunswick, Canada.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
Brody, are you like, how old? 7
I'm
or 8 years old? 16.
Yep.
You look about 7 or 8 in your photos.
Yeah, he
I just
does.
want to make sure I'm not going to get put on any watch list for talking with you on the phone for
What
too
were
long.
you, Jiffy? I'm sure you were scared to come on the radio show from mine and Xander's tweets to you earlier this week.
I'm not scared of much anymore, you guys.
Oh, come on. He's been on the Chelsea Lately Show for however many years. I'm sure there's nothing that scares him. So let's kind of rewind a bit, because most of us know you from your work on Chelsea Lately and After Lately. But did you start out writing or performing? Which came first for you?
What? Hey, Benny, stop. Daddy's talking to people on the phone. You need to go stand over here.
Does he want to come say hi?
Ben, do you want to say hi? Say hi. Just say hello. You don't
Hello.
Want to say hello? Go chill over there. I'm on my earbud, so he can't hear you guys.
Right.
I started, I guess originally when I was probably Brody's age, playing music, and I wanted to be a rock star when I got older, and unfortunately that never happened for me.
Right. But you are in a band, aren't you?
Well, I was in a band up until about 3 or 4 years ago when the Chelsea writing started picking up for me.
Right.
But I do, when I go on the road and open up for all the other comedians, like Josh Wolf or Sarah Colonna or Chris Frangiola, I play guitar. So my stand-up is kind of, I talk for a little bit and then I play guitar for a little bit and I talk for a little bit and play guitar. And it's kind of fun, nice little musical.
So how does that work out? Because I do a bit of everything. I sing and I do comedy. I do some stand-up, but I never thought of kind of crossing over the two. I've done it occasionally with like funny songs or songs I've like rewritten with really dirty lyrics. But how do the crowd respond to that?
So far so good. I've only been doing stand-up for a little over a year now, and from what everybody tells me, all of my friends who've been doing it for 10, 15, 20 years, they all say, you suck for your first, 2 years. So I guess by, transitive property, I suck. But I don't know that yet. I have fun, but I guess I also, my buddy Chris Frangiola, who is been doing comedy for a long time, and he's obviously right around Chelsea lately.
Right.
He told me, when I was like really starting out, 10 months ago, he would say, remember, the audience doesn't want you to suck. They're like here and they're on your side. So you have that going for you. They want you to do good. When you walk out on the stage, nobody wants you to bomb. Everybody wants you to do good. And I think that is kind of, what saves me a lot is that I think people, just people don't like to see people suck. So they give you the benefit of the doubt for the most part. And my set's only about 20 minutes. So before they get too sick of me, I'm off, and then I let the pro go on it.
So you only do like a 20-minute set? Is that when you're kind of doing a warm-up for somebody else, really?
Well, typically, when you go to, anywhere in the comedy clubs, like an Improv or a Zanies or anywhere, really, what they'll do is they'll usually have a host who's like a local comic. They'll get up and just be like, hey, what up, make sure you turn off your cell phones, bitches, all that kind of stuff. They usually do, 10 minutes. And then I will come up and do, depending on the night and the room and how many shows there are that night, probably anywhere between 20 and 25. And then the headliner will come up and do, 50 to an hour.
Wow. And even 20 minutes.
While you were doing set design at E, did you have any interest in becoming a writer or a stand-up?
Writer, yes. Stand-up, no. I never really had any stand-up aspirations. But writing, yeah, I've been writing my whole life. I've been writing, I was always into writing screenplays. I wrote a lot of, feature-length screenplays. So I always thought that's what I was going to do, was get into that world. I just, started doing the set decoration just as a way to pay bills, but it was also, it was fun, and I got to be on, the sets of, The Soup and E! News and, all those kind of shows. So it was fun, but that was never my calling. That was just, pay bills, job. And then that's when I, met Chelsea.
I don't know how much validity there is to this story, but when I was researching you, I came across an article that said you were booked to be on the round table and you didn't really even know about it. Chelsea just, wrote your name down.
Well, that is true. One night after work, we had gotten to go get margaritas or something, and I think that show that night we aired a sketch where I played Nick Jonas, and I think that was my first sketch. And I was an art guy. So, I don't know why I got cast. I think they were just like, well, you're the only one that looks relatively young enough to be a Jonas brother. So they cast me as Nick Jonas, and then so we all went to drinks, and then I got home that night, and around 10 o'clock I got a text from Chelsea, and she was said something really nice, oh, you were my favorite part of that sketch. And I was like, wow. Thank you so much. And then she wrote me back, do you want to do Roundtable? And I said no, just because, I don't know. I was afraid that I was, overstepping some boundaries or something. I was friends with some of the writers, and I was friends with some people that haven't been on the Roundtable yet. And then all of a sudden, for, Jiffy, the art guy, to kind of, take these giant steps and get on the Roundtable, I thought there would be some kind of backlash or something. And so I just said, no. I'm like, no thanks. And then, of course, I was flattered. But then a couple weeks later, the talent booker came up to me just down in the studio. And he was like, hey, so Chelsea booked you. You're on in 2 weeks. So that's how it started.
I kind of think there's for me, there's two kind of comedians. I do stand up, but I don't kind of think that I stand up there and tell jokes. I take elements of my life and experiences that I've had, and I share them in a very funny way, because I have kind of a very obscure view of the world and what's going on with me. And I kind of get the impression that you are kind of very similar to that too. Because, some people get up there, and when you sit on the round table, some people are kind of joke tellers, and some people are funny storytellers or just generally funny people.
I feel like what you described stand-up. You get up there and you tell the audience your perspective of life or stories, from your weird perspective and in a funny way. That, I think, to me, that is stand-up. There are, guys that do one-liners. I do some of my bits are one-liners, and some of my bits are storytelling. Some of my bits are just songs about really stupid shit. You familiar with like Stephen Lynch?
Right.
Stephen Lynch. He's a comedic songwriter, very popular. So I take a little from him. I take a little bit from like Stephen Wright or Dimitri Martin. That kind of thing. I love Dimitri Martin stand up. So I kind of steal a little bit from everybody, but try to make it my own, so I'm not too much of a ripoff. But
well, they do say 50% of comedy is theft. I take a lot of jokes and kind of gay them up. I make because I'm gay, and so a lot of the stuff that I talk about is gay. So I steal jokes like the most obscure straight jokes and turn them into gay jokes. But I've heard lots of people say that like 50% of comedy is theft, and I think that that's so true.
Huh. Well, I haven't heard that, but that makes me feel better about my thieving ways.
Yeah, absolutely. I think halfway. I think you're kind of 3/4 of the way there, because I think anybody that gets paid for doing something, you are that. I remember saying to someone about 20 odd years ago when I was a kid living in London. I remember saying to this famous comedian, "How do I become a comedian?" He said, "You don't become a comedian." He said, "You're funny, and then you start to get paid for it." And that kind of stuck with me, really, because I think that that's true. People laugh at your shit. People want, when you're at parties and stuff, people want to know about what you've been up to and the things that you've experienced. And I think that that's a great analogy, that, you are always going to be funny, but it's when you start to get paid for it that people see you as like a comedian or a funny guy, as it were.
That's true. I think that is, a wise thing. And I also, at the same time, I think that kind of sucks, because, I look at, like, all these people on Twitter and all these other comedians and everything around L.A., and they're not getting paid for it. And I know there's 10,000 funnier people than me that aren't getting paid for it, But it's just, it's a little bit of the lottery, and just because I happen to be on this show, when it started and happened to be, kind of find my way into this position, I'm allowed to fly around the country and get paid to do stand-up. It makes no sense,
No.
Because I'm on TV, people will do it. And it doesn't mean, it just means like, it's like what Oprah always says, right? It's like, I got lucky, but I was prepared to get lucky.
Right. I think you always have to be prepared to get lucky. You can ask Chelsea yourself how many times I've contacted her and said, "Hey, get me on the round table." But I think you have to get a little bit of notoriety before people will even give you a chance. The number of times I love Chelsea, don't get me wrong. The number of times she's kind of told me to go fuck myself in one way or another. It's like, it's flattery as far as I'm concerned. But, I aspire to that level of working. I can't wait to be sandwiched between you and Lonnie Love and a big plate of bacon sandwiches. It's going to be fabulous.
Well, you never know.
You don't. And I guess that the standard is pretty high on there because you've always got to be coming up with new stuff. You see shows come and go, and I think what gives Chelsea lately and after lately its longevity is the fact that it's always something different. It's not the same old shit, Because when you switch on a show and it's like, yeah, but didn't they just talk about that 2 weeks ago? Or, didn't they do that sketch before, but they've just tweaked it a bit? How do they keep that freshness going?
Well, it is tough. We do, thank you for recognizing that. We have a group of, 10 or 12 writers every morning. Our only job is to try to keep it fresh and keep it funny. And,
right.
We're also, everything is, 2/3 of the show is drawn upon current events. So as long as stars keep doing stupid shit, and Amanda Bynes keeps crashing her BMW, Tiger Woods, fucking Waffle House waitresses, we're good.
Yeah. I don't think there's ever going to be a shortage of subject matter for you, really. I mean,
it's funny. Some days, though, we're in the morning meeting and we're just like, fuck, there's nothing going on. And then we start digging deep and we're like, a guy cooked a squirrel and it started his house on fire. And we're like, genius, perfect, that'll be it.
Yeah, it's like really scraping the barrel sometimes, but it's funny shit. I guess.
Yeah.
I should just give you my number, Jiffy, so you can call me when you have a dry day. I mean, I've always got something, on the back burner ready to share.
Oh, nice.
I'm curious to know, Jiffy,
what I thought you were going to sound like. What's that, Brody?
I'm curious to know if each night on the round table, does each comedian write their own shit that they present to the audience?
Yes. Some people, some people come with a writing partner. I don't know the total ins and outs of how it all goes, for each individual comic. Some people, will come and they'll have a writing partner with them that'll be in their dressing room and they'll just kind of be batting jokes off of. For me, I like to, once I start kind of trying to think about the topics that we're going to talk about, I'll just bounce some of my ideas off of some of the other comics that are also the writers on Chelsea Lately, and then I'll be like, this is what I'm thinking about saying, and this is kind of my take on it. And sometimes they'll punch it up for me or be like, oh, that would be funny if you tagged it with this, or have you thought about this? So we kind of all help each other a little bit, but I think people are funniest when they're giving their own material, not just reading somebody else's joke,
Yeah,
right.
Like my friend Josh Wolf, who's helped me more than anything, he always says whenever I'm thinking about it, a topic, whatever it is, his first question is always like, well, what do you think about it? What's your take on it? And then it doesn't have to be funny. It's just, well, this is how I feel about it. Okay, now write a joke based on how you feel about it, versus just a random joke. And I think that's where you always get your best material when it comes from who you are first, and the joke comes second.
Because what you find funny, other people I've recently written a sitcom, and I was kind of testing out some of the material in that, and someone was saying to me, it's true that what you find funny, some other people are going to find it funny because you are part of that demographic out there. So you're already halfway there, I think, if you find the subject matter funny. But do you does the network say you can't talk about this or you can't talk about that, or because a few shows I worked on in London, they gave us a list of kind of don't talk about the Queen, or you can't see too much about this person. I mean, I was like, which Queen? I mean, I think that the thing about humor is that nobody should be not subject to it. I mean, if you look at my Twitter feed, I talk about everybody from Donald Trump to the president. No one is safe, and nor should they be, because if you put yourself out there in public, surely you're kind of open to that, that those arrows of comedy, if you like.
Yeah, well, I guess the double-edged sword of that is I've realized over the last couple of years is, I haven't really ever thought of myself as out there in the public. But I guess I am, and so occasionally I'll be on the receiving end of some arrows of people's
like from myself and Brody, for instance.
No, well, you guys are nice. You guys should read some of the mean shit people say to me.
Really?
But
I mean, I've seen some. So give me some examples. I mean, I've seen some nasty shit on there. I mean, but I know people kind of tend. I think this is the thing about the social media thing. I think it's like. There's this element of personification, like people feel like they know you. Like I'm sure some of the stuff I write to you, I mean, I don't know you, per se, but I'm sure some of the stuff I write to you, you think, wow, does this guy think he knows me or what? But I think that social media tends to personify, relationships, as it were.
Yeah, and I think it's even compounded on the fact, I think people really, for some reason, with the Chelsea Lately comedians, because we're kind of like a very community familial thing, I think people think, and I think this is why it works, but I think a lot of people think they're one of the gang, They think
right.
they know us. They think they're, because, Chelsea or someone makes fun of one of us, they think that gives them the right to as well.
Right.
And it's like if something comes from a good place, I'll accept almost anything.
Right.
I had to start blocking some people. You get a lot of like, you're not funny, you're ugly, you got gap teeth, everything you can think of. And eventually you just it bothered me more, a while back when it first started happening. And then now just block. All right, you're out of my existence. So.
I mean, I think you have to develop go on.
It's 95% great stuff, and I've only, come in contact with great people on like Facebook and
right.
Twitter, and everybody's usually just like you guys, just so kind and happy and energetic, and occasionally you get the hater, and a lot of times if you get a hater and then you just write something nice back, they'll go, "Oh, dude, I was just kidding. Oh,
yeah,
that's so cool, you responded." It's like, all right, you just want attention, that's all.
Yeah, I mean, I do think there is an element of having to develop a thick skin. Like, for instance, there's a few people on Chelsea lately that I've said stuff to, but it's the same kind of shit that I would say to anybody. Like, I'll give you an example. I love Heather McDonald. I think she's absolutely hilarious. She seems like a really nice person. And when she had her book out, I sent her a tweet that was kind of along the lines of, "I thought your book was amazing. And it made an even better doorstop." And so she sent me back, which I thought was perfectly funny. This is a tweet to a comedian. And she got back to me and she said, "Why are you so cruel?" I'm like, "Honey, you're a comedian. Come back, call me a fat ass or a queen or whatever if you're that upset,
Well, it's funny. Everybody has their different little buttons,
Right.
She was probably at that time sensitive about her book, and even though you were like, "Oh, I loved the book," all she read was doorstop, even though,
right. I mean, I did buy the book. I did read the book.
Right.
It's not a doorstop. It's on my shelf, with the other books, that I've read. But I think we all have that kind of like, what do they call it? That touchy spot that if you just even go near it, kind of makes you go, "What the fuck are you talking about?" kind of thing.
True.
But let's rewind. You were saying something about so I don't know whether you meant myself or Brody. You said somebody didn't sound how you thought that they would sound.
Both
was that me or Brody?
Like, well, you mainly because you.
Yeah, Xander has a bit of an accent, I find.
Yeah, you do. And I guess I didn't really know what to expect. You're a little bit more eloquent sounding than I
Well,
thought.
thank you. It's all the years of presenting television and radio that have kind of done it. But my accent is pretty mixed. I've been raised between here and the United Kingdom, and so my accent is pretty mixed. But I often get asked if I'm Canadian, but I'm learning not to take that too offensively. Sorry, Brody.
Where in Canada are you from, Brody?
I'm from Eastern Canada in New Brunswick.
Wow. I've never been to Canada.
Yeah, where I'm at, it's fucking freezing.
Oh, my God. You guys need to come to L.A. It's the best.
Hey, we're coming. Don't worry, dude. We'll have to meet for a beer.
All right.
So tell us, how do you feel about, because obviously a lot of gay people kind of follow you and like your work, and I would even go so far as to say to find you attractive. How do you feel about that? I mean, I know we've had some back and forth before, and you always say, "Yeah, that's fine, Xander, but just remember I have a wife." I mean, I know you have a wife, I know you have a kid, and it's all good fun and it's good sport, but how do you feel about having a gay following? Are you flattered by it? Does it offend you?
Yeah, I feel weird saying gay following. I don't really feel like I have a gay following. I feel like I don't know. I never really thought of it like that until you made that flyer that said gay following. And then my buddy Graydon, he's the guy who started him and his boyfriend started Shit Girls Say. The original one.
Right. Yeah.
he's the one who kind of wrote hot gay following, and I was like, I didn't even really realize I had one. I mean, I guess I get a lot of gay guys, commenting on Twitter or Facebook, but I don't know why. I guess it would be a gay following more than. I guess I have a lot more gay guys than straight guys that contact me.
I wonder why that is, Jiffy. Do you remember when you were having a conversation with your wife Allie once, and she said that the gay guys didn't think you were hot, so I contacted her on Facebook and said, "Hey Allie, this is Xander. I speak for the gays. We think Jiffy is hot."
Well, thank you for getting my back there.
Yeah, absolutely. You might not be so. Go on.
Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, you might not be so glad about the contact between me and your wife, because I spoke to her this week and she gave me some good dish on you, so we'll talk about that later.
I'm sure it's wonderful. No, I don't know. I think a lot of gay people watch Chelsea lately, and then, by osmosis, some gay people are going to end up liking me. I imagine everybody has a gay following on that show a little bit, right?
I think so, probably. I mean, especially, I think gay men tend to go for good-looking guys, funny women, and other gay men. So, you're in one of those trees.
I think Heather gets a little gay hate from her Republican beliefs, but that's about it that I've noticed.
Is Heather a Republican?
I believe so, from her Twitter.
But not. She's not always. She's been more closeted Republican as the Chelsea years have gone on.
I'm just going to go and burn her book in the yard now. Do you realize that?
She's a soft Republican. I mean, she's she's as sweet as they come. She's she's a funny gal.
No, I mean, I really like her. Actually, someone, Marvin in the chat room, is just asking if Ryan Basford is obsessed with Gucci. Does that say Gucci? Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you about Ryan Basford. He started on Chelsea the same time I started. He was I think he started as an intern, and then he eventually became a full-time PA, and on and on. But when he was a PA, which in Hollywood speak, that's the bottom of the ladder. That's as low as you can get, other than unpaid intern.
Right.
So he'd be running around, collecting the trash, getting copies, doing all this stuff, and he would be in Prada shoes and dressed far superior than executive producers and writers. He was the PA dressed like.
Well, he's a metrosexual. Let's face it, isn't he? He's got to be the show's metrosexual.
He's the epitome of metrosexual.
Yeah.
And forever we thought he was gay. We thought he was gay for a long time, but
I
don't think
everybody
so
did.
Yeah, I mean, of course you can see how that would be. I mean, Chelsea gave him a lot of, hard time, about it on the show. Come out of the closet, And for a little while there, I wasn't sure one way or the other, but I don't know. He's not gay. I don't know what. He's just awkward.
I think metrosexual really covers it, because I don't think he's gay. I mean, I remember there was a time that Chelsea was encouraging all the gay people to follow him on Facebook and Twitter, and of course we did, because he's a hot piece of ass. But it was just funny to see because he's very shy too. I mean, I sound like I know him, but I don't. But he seems very shy. He's with
pretty
all
shy. He's probably as nice and off shucks Midwestern guy as they come.
Right.
He's a really nice guy. I hope he's pursuing a hosting career. I think he would love to be the next Ryan Seacrest, but who wouldn't? I guess.
Are you trying to suggest that Ryan Seacrest is gay, or are you trying to tell us something there, Jiffy? I mean, I've had my suspicions for long enough, but
Ryan Seacrest is metrosexual as well. I don't think Ryan Seacrest is gay though either.
Oh, come on! I mean, I know he's got a girlfriend, but can you say beard? I mean, no disrespect. I mean, I have to say allegedly, because I'll be getting letters from the legal department. He does come across as being a very very gay. I mean, if he makes me look straight. So what does that tell you?
I don't think anyone can make you look straight.
Well, thank you. That's a real compliment, Jiffy. So tell me, Jiffy, what makes you laugh? What kind of humor attracts you? What kind of floats your boat? What makes your funny bone wiggle?
Jeez. I don't know. I mean, nothing specifically. I mean, all the writers that I work with every day. I mean, just going around the room, just shooting the shit makes me laugh. Chris Frangiola. You guys know him from the show, right?
Yep.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. He makes me laugh. You got to see the shit he says off camera. I mean, he is really funny.
And apparently he's not gay either.
He isn't either.
No, but he did eat a sandwich out of Jiffy's ass.
Yes, he did, a chicken sandwich.
You guys are all supposed to be straight, and you do all this shit. I mean, I don't even do that kind of stuff, and I'm gay.
It was on my bucket list to have a Chick-fil-A sandwich eaten out of my ass by a guy in a caveman. What's funny is we've been so desensitized on this show that it's just like the minute if Chelsea just says do this, it's like you don't even think all right, Jiffy, get naked. Okay, just start taking your clothes off. It's like no, we have no when we're in those those walls, we just have no filter or no you never question anything anymore. It's like the other day at the end of the show, I wore Daisy Dukes and some roller skates and threw Twinkies at.
I saw the pictures. I have them enlarged on my bedroom wall, Jiffy.
Oh, that's good. I would be sad if that wasn't the case. At least for one gay guy out there to not have those photos.
I know, right? Got to cash in on that.
I was watching it with my wife and one of my buddies who lives down the street from me, and he's just like, oh my God. He's like, there's no way I would do that. And I was like, and that was the first time it even hit me. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about it. I didn't even think about not doing it. They said, Jiffy, put on Daisy Dukes, get on some roller skates, and throw Twinkies at. And because they called me the office twink, they made me shave my body, and I actually like it now. Now I'm going to keep shaving, and I don't care what anyone says.
Hey, I have to say, I was wondering whether or not you'd shaved, but that wasn't one of the questions on my list.
Well, I had to. I'm not extraordinarily hairy, but I'm pretty hairy, and I got some back hair. It's a problem, but I'm married. I'm allowed to have that problem. And so I just shaved my chest, and then I had one of the wardrobe or the hair and makeup girls shaved my back for me. So that was a pretty.
Yeah, she looked a little perturbed. Did it take her 5 hours or something, or
no?
Did you have to get Mr. Plow to come and give her a hand?
It's not that bad. It's just some simple back maintenance. That was all that was.
Right. I mean,
I'd like to know what it's like working with a Fortune Feimster, because I absolutely adore her, and she's one of my favorite comedians ever.
Me too.
Fortune's the best. Wow, yeah. God, I guess I don't have very many bad things to say about any of the people I work with.
Come on, there must be some.
The only person I would have a problem with is Chris Frangiola, but I would tell that to his face. I tell it to his face every day. I definitely have a love-hate relationship with him. I mean, it's I think the other day he was giving me shit about something, and I was just like, I said, if it's possible for a guy to be a cunt, then you are a fucking cunt. And then I just left his office. And then 5 minutes later, we're just laughing. But I totally mean that at the time. Whatever he was doing, I don't even remember, pissed me off that much. He knows how to push my buttons.
But don't you find that because I get the impression that you and him are in a bit of a bromance. You seem like real bros, and that you are kind of friends off screen too. So I think it's the people we get close to that can push our buttons a little bit more. Yeah.
The buttons that he loves pushing off me are that I'm kind of like this interloper. he always says, you're on 2 TV shows, you're a writer, you're an actor, you're doing stand-up comedy. Based on what? Based on what? Because you were moving plants around the set 5 years ago? Like because you were coloring the walls on a set. Like, based on what? What have you ever done to warrant you being here? And he just like always tries to chop me down, but in kind of a playful way.
Well, we have some advice from Marvin in our chat room, Jiffy. He said, if you sleep with friend Jola, that will definitely ease the tension between you. I don't know what it'll do for your marriage, but,
You know what? Even if I were going to go gay, I wouldn't sleep with Frangiola. He's been with way too many women. I don't know what kind of disease he would give me.
Yeah, didn't he sleep with some hotel manager or something when you were on tour once, and Chelsea found out about it and was like telling everybody?
I think that was when we went to Cabo, and he got this like cougar. Well, a cougar to me, but to Frangiola probably his age. She put him up on like the bed like a little baby, and gave him the tongue workings on the back. And so we said that he was like. He said he felt like a little baby on a changing table, and so that's what we always gave him shit for, that he was, getting his little anus licked on the changing table like a little baby.
I just think it's amazing that I blame Chelsea for a lot of this because, I don't know what she's like in person, but she comes across as like the kind of person that's all the time getting you all to do stupid things, even if it's not for the show, and sharing secrets that you've told her with other people and on the air, and she really kind of just comes like, I think she's like a gay man trapped in a woman's body, basically.
If that's what gay guys are, then yes. I mean,
yeah, well, they are. I mean, how many do you know that don't do that?
I don't know. I have to, I don't even know. I don't like to think of people as gay or straight. This is people, like I don't. When I think of who are my gay friends, I don't even know.
Well, I think gay people and straight people kind of display kind of different traits, but they kind of get blurred for some people. You know what I mean? Like some people are straight and they would never sleep with a guy, but they're as gay as could possibly be. Yeah,
well, we have a writer on staff, Steve Marmelstein, who we always say we're like, you're gay on paper. I mean, he couldn't be more straight, couldn't look more straight, but on paper he's gay as they come. He loves Broadway. He loves Liza Minnelli. He went to go see Barbra Streisand. He likes joking about Ross Matthews was hanging out at the studio a couple weeks ago, and Steve Marmelstein, who's like this, short, hairy, just is, Jewish as they come, like basically Costanza, and Ross were in an elevator, and Marmelstein was so happy to say, someone in this elevator saw Barbra Streisand last night, and it wasn't Ross Matthews, and he is very proud about that.
So you've recently moved to new studios, and you got your own parking space. Well done.
Yes, that's
do you have an assistant now as well, or is the position open? Because Brody's looking to move to L.A. and be an assistant to someone really famous. Yeah.
None of us have assistants. Nobody
does. You don't?
Nah. Chewy. I forget.
I don't think Chewy. I love Chewy. Chewy's not really an assistant, though, is he? Let's face it. I think that's obviously part of the shtick that Chelsea puts out there, that he's her.
Chewy can't do anything on his own. I laugh sometimes. If I watch the show back, because when we watch the show at the studio, when we watch it live, it doesn't have any of the what we call lower thirds on screen. None of the writing or anything like that. So sometimes if I catch a show at home later that night or whatever, I'll see all the lower thirds, and I laugh because I forget that it says Chelsea's assistant when it shows Chewy. I'm like,
right.
and his little computer. I mean, I found that computer in the garbage when I was art directing. It's like the first week of the show, like 5 years ago. And they're like, just put it in front of Chewie. I'm like, it doesn't even turn on. They're like, it doesn't even matter. Just
I mean, you really gotta love Chewie. I mean, I remember when he first came on and he kind of fumbled around and stuff, and within a couple months he was kind of like part of the team, and had his own lines and his own skits and stuff like that. And I thought that was, I loved that. I love that when casts of TV shows are kind of all inclusive. Do you know what I mean? I don't mean that in any kind of negative way, but I kind of feel like you all kind of welcomed him and made him part of the team, and that came across, I think, to the public.
Well, sure. I mean, we all love Chewie. He's and he has his struggles. But he also has his, moments where he hits, comedic genius, where it's just like...
Yes, there was a segment called Chewie Interviews Movers, and I found that so fucking funny.
You should have been there during the taping. I was
almost crying. It was so funny when I was watching it on TV.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was really fun to tape. He's just and it's so fun because you get to sit behind the camera and you can just, throw him lines, And, it's always just funnier coming from Chewie.
I'm curious, though, is there anything he would ever refuse to say? I've been in some, I act as well, and I've been in a few things, and they've said, oh, say this, and I'm like, I can't say that. I mean, there were very few things that I wouldn't say. Is there very much that he wouldn't say?
He wouldn't, he has weird lines. I think he draws the line, he won't pretend to be a dog. And I think he wouldn't drink from a baby bottle or something like that. But he, he'll do anything. And he was just like, hey, we need to put a leash on you, and you pretend you're a dog. He's like, nope.
No, I think that's fair enough, though, isn't it, really?
I guess. I mean, I don't think I've ever said no to anything on the show.
We've noticed, Jiffy. We've noticed.
Well,
I mean,
how
does Allie respond? I saw some pictures of you recently because I was doing some research for this show, and that's all it was, I assure you. And I saw pictures of you where you were naked on Chelsea Lately, not on Chelsea Handler, but on Chelsea Lately, and they'd blurred out your bits, basically. I mean, how does Allie, your wife, respond to these flagrant displays on the television?
Like how I've become desensitized, she has become desensitized as well.
Right.
I think early on there was a couple moments where I was on the round table, and this was early on, maybe my second or third or fourth time on the round table, and Chelsea, shared some secret, like you were saying, on the round table, on live television. It was kind of an embarrassing thing. And my wife was in the audience, and so she was just, she doesn't want to be on camera or ever the center of attention or anything. So she, that's not what she signed up for. So she was mortified. And I remember after that day, I learned okay, so that's how it works. If you tell people, especially Chelsea, something, she'll say it on the show. So I was just kind of okay, note to self, don't share anything, that could be used against you with any of these people. Unless you want the world to know about it.
Talking about things, sharing things that shouldn't be used against you, as any good talk show host would, I've been digging the dirt this week, and one of the people I spoke to was your good wife, Allie, or Mrs. Wild, as she likes to be called. So, true or false, any truth in the rumor that you once pissed in Allie's laundry hamper, mistaking it for the toilet?
She told you about that, huh?
She did.
I've only done, I know people talk about that happening, and I kind of always never really believed it or kind of just thought it was so weird. But that happened to me one time. We weren't married yet. We were dating. And
she
I wasn't
still married you?
Well, she was questioning it afterwards because I wasn't even that drunk. Maybe had a few margaritas, and then I like to do, you ever wake up in the middle of the night and you have to go pee, really bad, but you don't want to wake yourself up, so you kind of, sleepwalk to the bathroom and, don't turn on the light because that'll just shock your senses, and you kind of fumble around and you just piss in the dark with your eyes closed. Like, you're almost like standing asleep, and then you can just like crawl back in bed, and it's almost like it never happened.
Yeah.
So I was trying to do that, but I was at her house, and I wasn't as familiar with it like my place. So she had a door for her bathroom, and then right next to it was the door for her closet. So I guess what I did is I walked into the closet, and I turned left, like where the toilet would be, and so I start peeing, and I have my eyes closed and the lights off, and it's in the dark, and I'm peeing, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm like peeing all over my legs and stuff. Like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, this can't be right. So I must be hitting the toilet. So I keep like moving around, you know, like trying to find that water sound, and I can't find it anywhere. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I kind of like snap out of it a little bit, and I flip the light on, and I realize, oh my fuck, I'm in her closet, and I'm peeing in her clothes hamper. So
did you tell her, or did she find it, or did you hide the evidence, or what?
This was her dry clean only clothes. I guess it was like her basket where she was before she takes it to the dry cleaner. So I
dry being the operative word, Jiffy.
So I panicked. I took off the clothes, and I brought them into the bathroom. I put them into the bathtub, turned on the shower, and started washing them all out with water. And I got like 5 minutes into it, and I just got so exasperated and just so like overwhelmed. I couldn't believe what was going on. I kind of got like all of the clothes in some big soapy water, and then I just kind of gave up, and I was like, fuck it. I'm too tired to deal with it. So I went back to bed, and then we woke up the next morning, and she's like, oh, good morning, sweetie. Like, what do you want to do today? You want to go on a walk? And I was like,
do you want to go to the dry cleaner?
I said, I have to tell you something. And so I told her what happened, and she was like, she was like so confused. Did you do this all the time? Is this something? Did you have a problem? And I'm like, no, I don't think I have a problem. This is the first time I've ever done this. I don't know why, but and that's how that happened.
I think lots of guys have done it. When I'm the youngest of 10 children, and I have 5 brothers and 4 sisters, and I've always been very musical. And in like the early 80s, my parents I wanted one of these modern Fandango keyboards, and they bought me like an organ with a lid, and I was like, this is really not what I want. But I was very grateful to wake up one morning and see it dripping with water, because my brother had got up in the night and thought it was the toilet and lifted up the lid and pissed all over the keyboard. So I was very grateful because it got me the new modern Fandango keyboard that I wanted. But I'm just glad I hadn't left it plugged in. And my mom was always saying, don't leave it plugged in. It's dangerous. Don't leave it plugged in, because if it had been plugged in, you know, my brother would have got the shock of his life. So, so it all worked out well in the end. So tell me, Jiffy, did you wipe your cell phone before you used it and wash your hands and stuff?
My cell phone?
Yeah.
From what?
Because I've heard you're a little bit of a germaphobe. I
am a germaphobe. I always think, you know, like I had to cut myself off of WebMD. You guys know WebMD?
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
You have like a stomach ache, and you go on WebMD, and then like for sure, whatever ailment you have, it'll deduce that you have cancer or something, you know?
Right.
Like, I've had everything, and I've like been convinced I'm dying of like every ailment that you could even imagine, where I'm like fully convinced like I'm dying from this. And
Marvin is
really
speaking up for you in the chat room. He said that there's nothing wrong in being a germaphobe. So I guess Marvin is a germaphobe too.
Is Marvin the same Marvin that wants me to fuck Chris Frangiola?
Yep, that's right. Marvin Amelie.
Hey Marvin,
Big
how are you? What's
Big
that?
shout out for Marvin and all the cult of Jake. Do you know about the cult of Jake, Jiffy?
What? Is Marvin a black guy? I don't think I've ever met a black Marvin.
Marvin is a white guy. No, Marvin is definitely a white guy. The cult of Jake, you know who Roseanne Barr is? She's been on your show before. Well, her son, who is Jake Pentland, he has a radio show too, and we all kind of we all listen. There's a group of us that listen to his show, and we go in this chat room like after the show, and it's been aptly named the Cult of Jake. So this little subculture of people, including Brody and myself and Marvin and Jen and lots of others, we're comically known as the Cult of Jake. So maybe you need to start a chat room of your own, Jiffy, and have the Cult of Jiffy.
I don't chat ever. I don't have instant messenger.
Really?
No, I text, I tweet, and I Facebook, and that's about it.
Right.
I've never been on I don't think I've ever been in a chat room, and I've never IM'd anybody. Does that make me sound like a nerd? I don't know.
No.
Jiffy,
no,
I have a question.
No, there are some people that just don't do it. I think that when you're a celebrity, or if you're even a minor celebrity like me, or a Z-list or whatever's below that, you have to do it because you have to tell people what shit you're doing, what's out there, when you're going to be on a TV show, when you're going to be on a radio show, when you're in court, any of those things. So you kind of have to do it for that, but,
That's what I do. That's what I use Twitter for. Twitter
right.
and Facebook.
Yeah, you have Facebook too. I'm friends with you on Facebook, but you don't really use that so much for professional stuff, do you? That's more.
Yeah, Facebook's all fucked up because it started where, when I started the page, it was just family and friends that I actually know. And then slowly, I got people from the show friending me, but then I started a Jiffy Wild fan page that people go to, but I don't have the heart to just cut off all of the Jeff Wild page. It's just kind of a mess. I kind of don't have Facebook. I try not to put up a bunch of personal stuff on there anymore, or
we know where you live, Jiffy.
Jiffy, this is a little off topic, but who is your comedic inspiration?
I love those guys I mentioned earlier, who I kind of model myself after. Would be like Stephen Wright, who is the king of one-liners, Dimitri Martin, Stephen Lynch. I like all those guys. I even who I thought I didn't think I even knew if I liked, but I watched a Rodney Dangerfield set recently. And was laughing my ass off. I didn't realize, he was so funny. I mean, I only knew him from movies where I thought he was kind of annoying. But his stand-up was really funny. So I have so much catching up to do as far as stand-up.
I feel so lame. I don't think I've heard of any of those people.
I've heard of Rodney Dangerfield. Some of his stuff is very good. But I'm glad you didn't say Chelsea Handler, because that would have been very sucky, even though I love her. I'm glad you didn't go, Chelsea Handler is the person that I look up to the most.
I love, Jen Kirkman from the show makes me laugh, a lot. She's really, really funny, and her stand-up and sensibilities are really funny. She makes me laugh a lot.
Because Jen looks very girly, and then when she opens her mouth, not that she's not very girly, but you don't expect her to say the kind of things that she comes out with, do you? Do you know what I mean? She looks very kind of prim and proper, and then she'll talk about any old funny thing, and it's surprising,
Yeah, she's I guess I would generalize her as just kind of a neurotic. A neurotic.
Aren't all these things when you apply for a job on Chelsea lately? Aren't all these things on the requisite list? You have to be neurotic, you have to be a metrosexual, you have to kiss Chelsea's ass. No?
Yes, all those things you do.
Right.
I wouldn't even know. If I wasn't on Chelsea lately now, there would be zero chance I would ever get a job on Chelsea. I don't even know how you go about getting a job on Chelsea lately anymore.
I can tell you how not to get a job on Chelsea lately, and it's not to keep hounding her and saying, Chelsea, have me on the round table. That's definitely not the way to do it. All right, we're going to open the... Go on.
Okay. She actually responded
go on.
to you, though. That's a good thing.
She did. Yeah, a couple of times on Facebook, I said, hey, let me write some sketches for you, because that's one of my my skill areas. And a couple of times she wrote back to me and she went, yes, you do seem very talented. And I thought, you sarcastic bitch, but at least she responded. I mean,
are you sure
it's
actually her? I can't even picture someone as famous as Chelsea Handler having a Facebook.
Well, not Facebook. It was MySpace at the time, and it definitely was her, because I remember her saying that she did respond to her own social media. I don't know if she still does.
She does.
We're going to go to the phone lines in a second, Jiffy,
right.
but
sure.
Go on. Sorry, Marvin wants me to ask you a question. Where does Jiffy come from?
Jiffy comes from. Go ahead.
No, go on. Where does Jiffy come from? Sorry, I was just looking at the next comment that he made, but fire away.
Chelsea gave that to me.
Really?
Yeah, one day early on when I was still doing art department stuff, she just said, I'm going to start calling you Jiffy. She goes, you're Jiffy Jeff now. And I think her brother-in-law is named Jeff, and her father calls him Jiffy. So I think it's kind of like a family affectionate thing, and so it was just kind of a term of endearment.
Were you friends with Chelsea before you got your spot on the round table?
No, I didn't know her until I started working in the art department, and I remember a month after the show started, I didn't think she even knew me, but it was my birthday, and she goes, "Happy birthday, Jeff," and I was like so flattered that she even knew my name or knew I existed, and then slowly she just kind of was like, I remember I didn't even have a desk, and she like went out of her way to like clear an area and say, "This is your desk. Here, you can work here." And like she just really took me like under her wing a little bit.
It almost surprises me because when you're watching the show, sort of her shtick is to be a little bit bitchy to all of the comedians on the show, so you don't really expect her to be as
all of her underlings, Brody.
Yes, well, she's by far and away the most like generous person I've ever known in my life. And
doesn't she fly you all to places and shit, and buy you buy you cars and just ridiculous shit like that?
Yes, she's bought an assistant a car. She bought Julie a car. She's I think generous to a fault. I think she can probably go with being less generous. And she's, I think a lot of people, like probably celebrities, like her, are kind of like mean in real life, and then when they get on camera, they turn on the charm and are all nice. She's kind of like she's like the opposite. When the camera's on, she's kind of snarky and a bitch, and she likes to make fun of us and make us the joke. But when the camera's off, she's like, as genuine and nice and as warm as they come.
I can see that because she does come across as being a very nice person. I mean, I certainly like her, and I love her bitchy side. I mean, like I said, she's a gay man trapped in a woman's body. But don't tell her I said that. She's obviously not going to be listening to this show, so we can say what the fuck we like.
That's true.
All right, let's open up the phone lines. If anybody wants to call in and ask Jiffy a question, 347-884-9061. That's 347-884-9061. Jen, if you're listening, put that kid down and call us right now. Jen is the co-host on the Jake Pentland show, and she was threatening to call in, but let's see whether she does. So just while we're waiting for some callers, we'll keep our eye on that. I just want to play a quick game of, have you ever heard of the game Marry, Fuck, Kill, Jiffy?
Yes, we play that game all the time at work.
All right, so let's have a quick game of that with you and see what kind of response we get. So I'll give you three names, and you obviously come back and say marry this person, fuck this person, kill the other person. All right, so Chelsea Handler, Lonnie Love, and Heather McDonald.
Who did you say again?
Chelsea Handler, that's your boss. Lonnie Love, that's one of your co-hosts. And Heather McDonald, I believe she works with you too.
Oh, God.
So Chelsea, Lonnie, and Heather.
I would have sex with Chelsea, marry Heather, and kill Lonnie. But I love Lonnie.
Wow. That's surprising.
Hey, I have another one for you, Jiffy. Rosie O'Donnell, Roseanne Barr, or Oprah Winfrey?
I would marry Oprah. Wow. I have to have sex with one of the other ones?
You get to say pass once, Jiffy.
Oh, pass.
All right. So you've used up your pass now. This should be an interesting one. Chris Frangiola, T.J. Miller, and Brad Wallach.
I would probably marry Chris Frangiola.
Yeah, he seems the marrying kind. He'd make a nice bride.
I guess I would fuck Brad and kill TJ, just because I know.
Oh, really?
The least.
Oh, it would be the other way around. I would have to fuck TJ and kill Brad, but.
Well, everybody always says kill Brad on these, so I feel.
I wonder why. I think it's the red hair, poor guy. All right, Sarah Palin, Ann Coulter, and Hillary Clinton.
Kill Ann Coulter. Fuck.
Yay.
Marry Hillary.
Right. Okay. Let's have a look at the next one. Fortune Feimster, Lisa Lampanelli, and Kathy Griffin.
Marry Fortune. Fuck Kathy Griffin. Kill Lampanelli.
All right. Josh Wolf, Chewy Bravo, and Roy Handler.
I would marry Josh, and I would fuck Chewy and kill Roy.
Jen's gonna love that answer because she has a thing for midget porn.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
You can't say midget because that's an offensive term.
I'm sorry.
When you're actually talking about a person, but I think we got what you meant. All right, Taylor Swift, Miley Cyrus, and Jan Aniston.
Oh. I would marry Taylor Swift because I'm a huge Taylor Swift fan. I would fuck Miley Cyrus, and unfortunately I'd kill Jen Aniston.
Really?
I love
thought
her.
she was your friend.
Well, she's Chelsea's friend. I've been lucky enough to meet her enough, and she's very lovely. I went to her house once even. That was really fun. But hey, you know what?
What?
If it's fucking Miley Cyrus or Jen Aniston, I would have to go with Miley.
All right,
and I
then.
happen to be in a big Taylor Swift kick right now, so.
Well, I can see that, but I can't see that as well, if you know what I mean. All right, Sarah Jessica Parker, Liv Ullmann, and Lindsay Lohan.
Kill Parker, marry Ullmann, and fuck Lohan.
You just lost your gay following saying kill Sarah Jessica Parker. You know that. Your gay following just went into the fucking ocean now. All right, last one for you then, Jiffy.
Yeah, all right.
You must know you had a gay following. Come on, stop being so coy. You must know you had a gay following.
Ever since I killed your Sex and the City goddess.
He doesn't mean it, homos. He loves her really. It's just a game. All right, this is the final one for you, Jiffy, and this is going to be the killer for you. The three names are Xander Gibb, Brody Stuart, Jake Pentland.
Well, I'm pretty sure Chris Hansen will be showing up at his house if he decides to marry or fuck me, so.
Yeah, so I'll have to kill you, Brody. I'm sorry. Xander, I'll marry you because you seem nice and you have a nice accent, and I'll fuck
Fabulous,
Jake.
Thank you. And you'll what? You'll fuck Jake Pentland. Can you just say that clearly for us?
Yes. Hey, Jake Pentland, I'll fuck you.
Brilliant. All right, let's see if we've got any callers. There's no one brave enough to call in, not even Chelsea Handler. 347-884-9061. Which bit? Chelsea calling in or the fuck, marry, or kill? Hello?
What's that?
Which was the crazy bit? The fuck, marry, or kill, or the thought of Chelsea calling in?
Fuck, marry, kill.
Right. I'm sorry to put you through that, Jiffy, but I think we have to give people what they wanna hear. So no one's brave enough to call in, but I wanted to get you to tell us a bit. I know you're starting to film After Lately soon, and any surprise guests that we should know about? Is there any truth in the rumor that Xander Gibb is apparently coming on?
I'm not sure about that. I'm sure Xander's people are talking with the After Lately people right now.
I'm sure they are.
You know, I don't know who's going to be in this year. We don't usually know until like last minute. You know,
right.
A lot of scripts say, you know, celebrity TBD, you know, that kind of thing, and you know, so you know there's going to be a celebrity in a script, but or in a show, but you don't know who it's going to be, which is exciting. It's fun.
Right. I mean, are you surprised? Because obviously that show is scripted. I think people, because it's kind of like the reality show of Chelsea Lately, but there's still a script to it, obviously, and it's funny, et cetera, et cetera. Are you surprised when some people think that the things that go on it are real?
Well, yes and no. I mean, I could see why some people would think that, but and a lot of the storylines are based off of things that really did happen.
Right.
The writers just kind of mucky them around to make them a little bit more interesting and funny. But you know, I can see a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, you know, this looks like it's totally scripted," you know, and like, it is.
Yeah. I mean, someone said, I can't remember what the terminology was, but they were basically saying that with reality stuff, that what they were trying to do with their script was make real life more interesting. Because you don't want to see people sitting there on the sofa and watching TV and scratching their ass. You know, you actually want to see fights and disagreements and, you know, people getting fired, and because the rest of it's not really that interesting, is it? You know, you got to keep people glued.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, I only do a show once a week, and it's hard enough to get content for that and good guests and stuff like that. So I know obviously E must give Chelsea Lately a bit of a budget, but even then it must be hard to get people on and to keep that level of interest every single freaking night, because it's 5 nights a week.
I know. It takes a small army, I tell you.
Yeah.
But you know, we're just happy, and you know, we feel really lucky to be part of it. You know, everybody that works on it. So
no, I can see that, and I'm available for the round table. I'll even do it for free, Chelsea, and I'll pay for my own flight.
Oh, step in line, Xander.
Call my people.
All right. Well,
sorry,
I'll
Brody.
pass that along.
Yeah, thank you. Go on, Brody. What were you saying? Sorry, I interrupted you.
Oh, is the show's done?
Which show? No.
This one.
No,
I
this
thought...
show? No, we're getting there.
Oh, sorry. I
thought,
okay, never mind. Oh, sorry. I was just saying, step in line, Xander.
Well, no, I'm first. Sorry. All right, we're gonna kind of start coming to an end now, but we're gonna do some quick fire questions with you, Jiffy. Are you up for that?
Sure.
You said that very tentatively. All right. Okay. Quick fire questions. I'm sure Brody's got some for you too.
All right.
Boxers or tidy whities?
Boxer briefs.
Coffee, fresh or instant?
Fresh.
Fox or CNN?
CNN.
Obama or Romney?
Obama.
Fabulous. Mickey D's or Burger King?
Burger King.
Chelsea Lately or After Lately?
Ooh, a tie.
A tie. Well, okay, we'll give you that one then. All right. Larry King or Xander Gibb?
Xander Gibb.
I agree. Oprah or Jay Leno?
Jay Leno.
Comedy or music?
Comedy.
Candy or chocolate?
Candy.
Grey's Anatomy or Private Practice?
Neither.
You don't watch either? Wow.
Nope.
Your gay following is dwindling, Jiffy.
Well, Xander, anyone
right.
that didn't know you were gay before sure do now after hearing those questions.
What, knows that I'm gay? Well, ain't no secret, dear. You know, I mean, I'm openly gay. Even the floor knows I'm gay, Brody. What are you talking about? All right, ham or cheese or ham and cheese?
Ham and cheese.
Cool. Okay, Brody, do you have some quick-fire questions for Jiffy, or did you not get that part of your homework done?
Well, I do have a question for Jiffy. I want to know the first word that comes to mind when you hear these names. Chelsea Handler.
Awesome.
Chewy Bravo.
Short.
Fortune Feimster.
Cool.
Josh Wolf.
Nice.
And Sarah Colonna.
Roommate.
Roommate? Were you roommates?
No, she's my office mate. I share an office.
Right.
So I sit right next to her every day.
I have another question for you from the chat room. What do you think, this is from Marvin again. Marvin is a big fan of yours right now. He said, what do you think about Donald Trump's shitty comments, remarks to Chelsea?
I think Donald Trump is more of an attention whore than anybody out there, so I don't really give any credence to what he says ever.
No.
I mean, it's funny to occasionally he'll give us something to talk about on the roundtable. To that, thank you, Mr. Trump, for giving us material for our show.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think about Donald Trump ever.
Donald Trump and all of his kids are fucking assholes, and their stupid show should be canceled. The Apprentice, whatever it's called.
Yeah, hey, please make sure you say what you feel, won't you, Jiffy? Brody, even. Don't hold back now, will you? No, I have to agree. I think the guy, on behalf of Xandermonium, your hair looks fucking stupid, and I'm never spending another penny at Macy's while you're involved with them. So that's my final comment on the Donald. I never forgave him actually for his war with Rosie O'Donnell. I mean, he just made that really nasty and was really bitchy toward her, and then expected her to say nothing back because he was Donald Trump. I mean, if you put yourself out there in the public eye and you talk about other people and then someone comes back twice as hard at you, who have you got to blame but yourself?
Well, Xander, I'm as liberal as they come, but Rosie O'Donnell is like number one libtard in America.
Well, do you know the story about Rosie and Brody, Jiffy? He contacted Rosie on Twitter and pretended to be one of the ex-production managers or someone that worked with her and managed to get her home phone number. And then they called her and pranked her on a radio show. So I think Brody is a little bit biased.
Yeah, just a little.
Wow.
I mean, can you imagine what Chelsea would have done if he'd have done that to her? She would have kicked your ass.
Hung up.
She would have just hung up.
Yeah,
I would have thought she'd have had a bit more fight in her than that, though. But I guess sometimes the only answer is to put down the phone. So tell us when the new series of After Lately is starting.
I don't know when it premieres. I think maybe March, but I think we start taping in the next week or two.
Right. Yeah, I saw something on the internet about that it was that they were going to start to tape soon.
You guys, I got someone just pulled up with a big delivery at my house. I got to
Fabulous. Is it drugs, Jiffy?
No, I wish. It's a picnic table.
Well, listen, Jiffy, thank you so much for coming on the show. It was a real pleasure talking to you.
Well, it was a real
we hope
pleasure
to speak to you again.
Yes, thank you so much, Jiffy. It was an amazing interview.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Jiffy.
All right, guys. Well, I'll see you on the World Wide Web.
Definitely. And follow us both on Twitter or our mothers will be upset.
Okay. All right.
All right. Take care.
All right, guys. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Wow, well, that was a fabulous interview with the one and only Jiffy Wild, Jeff Wild from Chelsea Lately Show. What did you think to that, Brody? How did you enjoy yourself on your first episode of Xandermonium?
Well, I was nervous as fuck throughout the whole interview, but overall it was amazing, and I have to thank you very, very much for allowing me to come on Xandermonium because, as we both know, I'm a huge fan of Jiffy Wild.
Absolutely, and I think that you did a very good job on today's show. So thank you very much for joining us, Brody. And Brody will be back with us again in the future to co-host, and he's the official Canadian correspondent for the Xandermonium show.
Well,
so
thank
you so much for joining us today, Brody, and I'm sure we'll see you later in the Cult of Jake chat room. Thank you very much.
Sure will. Peace out.
Thank you. Well, that's about it from me, Xander Gibb. It was a great show. I enjoyed chatting with Jiffy Wild from Chelsea lately. Thank you so much to my co-host, Brody Stuart, who I'm sure we'll be seeing a lot more of in the future, both on here and on his own show. I hope the audio was better for you this week. Thanks to everybody for listening. Thanks for Marvin in the chat room for keeping things going over there. And our guests next week are Antonio Santini and Dan Sickles, who are the producers of a new documentary that's coming out that's called Mala Mala. So look out for the flyers and the info for that, and we'll tell you more at the beginning of the week about what that show will be all about. So thank you very much, everybody. Lots of love to you out there, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.